We're pleased to talk wearable technology and watches with Preston Moxcey, VP of Fossil Group and also the General Manager for Misfit. The company produces watches, smartwatches, fitness trackers and fashion technology. Good morning to you. Thanks for coming in, Preston. We'll talk about the fitness stuff in a moment, but first of all, and this is the bit that kind of jumped out at me really, is that you make watches for different brands. And when I list these, there'll be a lot of people in cars in Dubai saying, oh, I've got one of those. You actually make the watches that are branded Karl Lagerfeld, Armani Exchange, Emporio Armani, Diesel, Chaps, DKNY, Burberry, Adidas, as well as your own brands, Fossil, Skagen or Skagen, Michele and Misfit as well. I mean, how different are all these watches when you actually scratch the surface? Or we just put a different label on each?
No, it goes past just the labels. I mean, the design teams, the way we work with our licensed partners, everything we want to do about the watch and what it tells the customer is very, very different. But at the heart, they all tell time. They all do the same thing. So much like automobiles, you can take an engine and put a lot of different aesthetics around it. That's very much what we do.
Are the engines different, though?
Not so much. I think the watch movements we use, much like the wearable technology we're building, are all built on very common technology platforms. They've been around for years, and we design around them.
So the engine, the running bits, if you like, cost roughly the same. It's the badge that you put on the top is where the price differential is. So of all those brands I've mentioned there, what's the sort of price range between the brands?
Yeah, in US dollars, pardon me for not doing the currency, but we range from about $100 all the way up to about $500 or $600.
Yeah.
And it's definitely the decoration, the plating, the design that goes into it that changes the prices.
Preston, I was really interested in how far the Fossil Group has gone into smartwatches, both hybrid smartwatches and, I don't know, full smartwatches, whatever we're calling them.
Yes.
Do watchmakers today have to make smartwatches? Is this an adapt or die kind of moment?
We believe so. We saw several years ago consumers were very much interested in new technology, something new, and everything in their life is getting smarter, from their cell phone and everything else in their home. And why shouldn't the thing that's on your body that you every day, that you look at dozens of times a day, be somehow smarter and do something more interesting than just tell time?
Can you give us an idea of what percentage your business would now split down to in terms of conventional watches and those that count as being smart?
Absolutely, yeah. We sell 35 million watches a year as a company globally, and we're getting to the point of about 0 of them were connected a year and a half ago. And I believe this year, we're not disclosing numbers publicly, but it's certainly a measurable part. So we have over 100 different designs, 8 different brands. We're in 40 different countries. And we have the ability now to make, eventually, every watch we make can and should be connected.
I was going to say, do you see, taking out the very, very high-end collectible sort of Philippe Patel sort of stuff, do you see the average just watch dying out?
And dying is such a terrible word, but we see it evolving and becoming something better. We saw this 30 years ago with quartz. So mechanical watches became quartz watches, and we definitely see today quartz watches evolve into connected watches. Why wouldn't every quartz watch be accurate 100% of the time and set to your cell phone's time?
Well, your brief to us says fitness trackers and activity monitors are now de rigueur on wrists. Now, I know that they're one of the probably most active parts of the sort of wearable technology boom, but I don't know anybody, for instance, with one. How sort of prevalent are they outside the sort of health area? Do they do other things as well?
Absolutely. It started with activity tracking. It was really the evolution of the pedometer going from the hip to the wrist. And what eventually became possible 2 or 3 years ago was adding sleep. And so in certain parts of the world, people use our activity trackers to monitor sleep way more than steps. And then within the last year or so, we've been able to get full display watches or hybrid smartwatches on the wrist. So it really is about the technology improving to the point that now they're ubiquitous. And you're right, certain parts of the world have different adoption rates. Yeah. And the Middle East in that area is definitely growing faster, but a little bit later than, for, say, the Americas.
With the sort of boom in sales of these, 35 million is quite substantial. How much does it owe to the sort of development of the smartphone, the fact that smartphones can now do a lot more in terms of applications and storage?
100%. We are absolutely selling and creating peripherals to the smartphone. So they're wirelessly connected, but think about what happened years ago with a desktop, and then there was mice and scanners and copiers, these things that made desktops more useful and interesting. Wearables make your cell phone more interesting and usable.
I was doing a bit of research before you came in, Preston, and I saw that Fossil is going to be shutting some of its stores. Is that because of less demand for conventional watches, or is that because people are now buying these things online?
It's the latter, for sure. Our store footprint has changed and evolved, and it has more to do with people choosing to shop online, mall traffic being down double digits year over year globally. And we will just adapt our business to be closer to where the consumer is. And it's interesting to note of that store closings. Many of those stores are actually off-price stores, so that isn't actually all our full-price stores. So it's really a mix of our off-price and full-price business, and a mix of online to offline media.
Yeah, I was looking at your website yesterday, and one of your phone apps is called Misfit Home, and it'll personalise the lighting in your house. Millions of options straight from your smartphone. Does that indicate a wider move into smart home technology?
Absolutely. I think we view the Misfit brand as something where we can make and invent anything that consumers are interested in. And if a little button on my watch can turn the lights on in my home, or start my car, or do payments at the mall, we're always going to be interested in exploring those capabilities.
Is that sort of technology up and running and sort of active, and do a lot of people use it in the States?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, thinking of it as an extension to the cell phone, as opposed to pulling your phone out of your pocket, having to unlock it, having to find an app and push a button. Think of it as a shortcut. We like to hit the button so that we can do those shortcut links.
Well, it's a shame we don't have any more time, because I'm sure we could find plenty of things to talk about with a wide range of your products. Preston Moxcey, VP of the Fossil Group and General Manager for Misfit. We do appreciate your time. Thank you.